I was only 10 years old when my father passed away. After that, all responsibility fell on my mother's shoulders, and our entire family and relatives turned their backs on us. At that age, I didn't understand much, but I often saw my mother crying in silence. She would soak dry pieces of bread in water just to feed me, and I'm sure she went to bed hungry herself. We were going through very hard times. I was studying in a government school, so my education didn't stop. My mother started working in a few homes just to keep the house running. But then one day, I saw her return from work, lock herself in her room, and cry uncontrollably. Worried, I ran to her. She held me close, tears pouring down her cheeks, but said nothing. Her pale face had turned red from crying, her eyes swollen. I kept asking her, Ami, what happened? But she never gave me an answer. And then, the next day, she stopped working in people's homes. I didn't know why. I still don't know what happened that day, what it was that even she couldn't bring herself to tell me. Our already difficult life got worse again. Whatever little relief we had because of her work disappeared. But my mother never went back to those jobs. Sometimes at night, one or two men would come by and quietly hand her some money. That's how we managed to survive. By then, I had turned 12. I didn't know who those men were or why they helped us. Then one day, when I came home from school, I saw a well-dressed man in a suit sitting in our house. Outside, a large black car was parked. The sight of that car alone stunned me, and when I saw the man himself, my eyes widened even more. He was sitting with my mother. By the time I changed out of my uniform and returned, the man had already left. I asked my mother in surprise, "Who was that man? Why was he here?" She pulled me close to her and said, "Son, how long are we going to keep fighting against life like this? I can't bear the hunger anymore. I've found work. That man brought a job for me. From now on, your mother will have a proper job." Her words surprised me. For the past 2 years, she had always said, "If only I had a skill, if only I were educated, I would have done some work." So, how did she suddenly get a job now? And who was that man who came to our home, someone I had never seen before? When my mother saw all the questions in my eyes, she gently placed her hand on my head and said, "Murad, starting tonight, I have to go to work. It's a large mansion and my job will be there. I'll leave at night and return in the morning. You'll have to stay home alone during the night and take care of everything. You're the only man of this house now, and it's your responsibility to support me." I nodded and said, "Don't worry, I'll be okay alone." "But how will you work the whole night? Nights are meant for sleeping. Ask them to let you work during the day instead." She smiled bitterly and replied, "Every job has its time, and the work I've been given at the mansion can only be done at night. Just focus on your studies. Work hard. Become a successful man someday. That's all I want." I promised her that I would study with all my heart, and that very night, she left for work. It had been a long time since I saw her get ready like that. She opened her old wooden cupboard and pulled out a deep red dress. I stared at her in surprise. She was fair-skinned and beautiful, and the moment she wore that dress, she seemed to glow. But ever since my father died, she had never worn anything so bright. That's why I asked, "Why are you wearing such a dark-colored dress for your job?" She paused while putting on her lipstick. Her hand froze in the air as if something had suddenly struck her. Then she looked at me and said quietly, "This is part of my job now." Watching her dress up brought a strange feeling. Part happiness, part worry. It had been so long since I saw her looking this way. She wore her black cloak, covered her face with a veil, kissed my forehead, and walked out of the house. I locked the door carefully.